Testing, testing. Is this thing on? Because I recorded this whole thing yesterday, and it turns out it wasn't. But anyway, hi, I'm Sharpie, and welcome to my May movie wrap-up, but I gotta go fast because there's 15 of them, so here we go.
Oh my god!
Okay, so we finally made it through all of the Final Destination films with our friend that hadn't seen them yet, hoping that we could get them done before the new movie came out. And guess what? We did it. I'm so proud of us. So Final Destination 5 was directed by Stephen Quayle, and it released in 2011. Stephen Quayle was actually James Cameron's second unit director on Avatar and Titanic, which is very confusing considering how mid this movie is. The film stars Nicholas D'Agosto, Emma Bell, and Tom Cruise. Or Miles Fisher. Sorry, my bad. I don't know if I really have to explain the plot of a Final Destination film, but just in case, I will anyway. The major death sequence in the beginning of this film was on a suspension bridge, which was fun. You got your main character who has a premonition and then saves a bunch of people, and Death is unhappy about that. And the thing with this one is that it's just really boring, honestly. The kills, which are the whole main point of the movies, are pretty boring in this. Although I will say the gymnastics scene was pretty well done. That one was great. Lots of fake outs, lots of building tension, and a really gruesome end scene. So that one was pretty good. I will give it that. And like, I know Final Destination death scenes aren't known for being super realistic, but the LASIK scene really bothers me because it genuinely scared people off of getting LASIK for a long time after they saw that movie. And that really bothers me because getting LASIK was one of the best things that I've ever done. And I know, big LASIK over here. I will move on. The twist ending was fun. I liked that. And then it was fun watching it the second time with our friend. And so I could kind of watch throughout the movie to pick up on all the costumes, the props, to see how they integrated that twist ending now that I knew about it. So that was pretty cool, but one good death sequence and a fun twist does not save a movie. So this got a half a star. It was not my least favorite Final Destination. I feel like I just need to have a whole video ranking them at this point.
Is this what you wanted?
Okay, maybe it's because I'm super burnt out on Marvel, so my expectations are on the literal floor. Maybe it's because I'm superheroed out, so I had my guard down. Maybe it's because I've been watching too many Sensia dramas while I've been working out. But all in all, I actually really liked this movie. Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings came out in 2021 and was directed by Destin Daniel Cretton, who is the director for the new Spider-Man movie, so now I'm extra excited for that. In it, we follow Shang-Chi, who's been living a quiet life as a valet in San Francisco until his past as the son of a centuries-old warlord and wielder of 10 magical floating bracelets comes crashing back into his life. What follows is a journey of mystical magical arts, dysfunctional family reunions, and one really overly CGI dragon battle. Awkwafina plays his best friend Katie, Tony Leung is our really hot baddie, and Michelle Yeoh is just there being perfect, as always. Now, no, the movie is not a masterpiece. It's a Marvel superhero film. But it is also incredibly refreshing for what it is. The visuals were absolutely stunning, and the stunt sequences, the fight choreography, honestly, in my opinion, is the best that I've seen in a Marvel movie. Now, I might be biased because ever since Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon came out in 2000, it's always been one of my favorite movies. It's actually the movie that I sat down and like realized as a 5-year-old,
oh, this is a film.
So I might be just a smidge biased, but that's fine. I even like their use of CGI. Until the end, and that's where all of my issues lie, because if this movie had just had half the budget and had been a small story about a man navigating the manipulation from his grief-stricken dad and trying to piece together what's left of his family with like some fun fantasy vibes thrown in there, oh, it could have been so good. It could have been so good. But no, we didn't have to have a town-ending threat, not a city-ending threat, not even a planetary-ending threat, a universe-ending threat. Because this is a Marvel movie after all. But hey, Michelle Yeoh's in it, so it's automatically good. 3.5 stars. I enjoyed it. I had fun.
Kathy Ireland is Wanda, and Wanda is the alien from LA.
If you're sitting there experiencing some deja vu, that is because you have watched one of my previous videos where I already talked about Alien from LA. So number one, thank you for that. I appreciate you. And yes, yeah, I rewatched it. In fact, we showed it to a friend and I was still just as confused by it. I did pick up on some more like disorienting details, like she's carrying a duck bag the entire time. And no, I still don't understand the plot entirely. I am still obsessed with it. I'm actually thinking about putting up a full-size poster in my room. That's how into this movie right now I am. But if you want more details, that's in a prior video. I will link that one.
Haven't you ever seen a dinosaur before? Throw the skin on it!
Alien from LA is actually a reimagining of Journey to the Center of the Earth by Jules Verne, and so after I remembered that, I had a sudden super nostalgic yearning to find out if the 2008 movie directed by Eric Brevig still holds that same punch that it did whenever I was 13. And it did not. This movie's pretty bad. Good old Brendan Fraser, hallowed be thy name, plays a science professor who stumbles across some clues that maybe Jules Verne wasn't writing fiction after all. He brings along his teenage nephew, played by tiny little baby Josh Hutcherson, and their Icelandic mountain guide Hannah, played by Anita Briem. And then they literally just fall into a series of increasingly complicated set pieces. Although they weren't, you know what? They weren't even really set pieces. This is a lot of green screen, dude. Like, a lot of green screen. There's lava, glowing birds, mine carts, magnetic rocks, and the most baffling temperature inconsistencies known to man. Seriously, I think after like an hour of them being down there, the temperature increased like 5 degrees or so, and so it was like up into the 90s whenever they were kind of first underground. And it's supposed to keep slowly ticking up, and they are never drenched in as much sweat as they should. They are never nearly as dehydrated as they should. It doesn't make sense. And that's okay. I was incredibly impressed by how many scenes and how many lines of dialogue I had burned into my brain.
They're still falling!
Which is weird considering I think I only saw the movie like a couple times whenever I was a kid. So I feel like that just goes to show the power of how often the trailer was on the commercials. The power of marketing, baby. 1 star. It's not a good movie, but it was fun.
One day he's gonna follow you home.
Oh my god. This movie is incredible. It's a goddamn revelation. Sinners was released in 2025 this year and was directed by the super impressive and incredibly talented Ryan Coogler. And actually, as of writing this review, as of right now, it is currently the highest grossing live action original film domestically since 2010. You know what the 2010 movie is? Inception. It's almost beating Inception, and it should. Set in 1932 Clarksdale, Mississippi, this film is about the twin World War I vets Smoke and Stack, who are played by Michael B. Jordan and Michael A. Jordan, and they're opening up a juke joint with their cousin Sammy, who's played by Miles Canton. And also, this was Miles Canton's acting debut, and that is insane to me. He was so good. He learned guitar for this role. Oh my god! Our antagonist is in the form of Remick, played by Jack O'Connell, who's an Irish vampire who is surprisingly inclusive. I was really impressed with the way that this fused a bunch of genres into just a perfect film. I mean, you've got your Southern Gothic, you got toe tapping blues, you've got supernatural horror, and you've got incredibly important, deeply rooted social commentary. And it's just put together so masterfully. And that's because it starts small and then builds and builds and builds. You learn about each one of these characters and you start to really care about them, to the point that when something happens to them, you actually care, or whenever something happens to somebody that they care about. Because we got the time to get to know them. It's not just cheap jump scares, it's actual emotional investment. This film is honestly filled with really important and really impressive imagery. Like there's this one scene where Grace Chow, who co-owns a general market with her husband, crosses the street. And at first it seems like a really simple scene, even though it's well done cinematographically, right? But cinematography? Am I having a stroke? And at first it seemed like a really simple shot, really impressively done. And then you put your thinker on, and what she's doing is she's crossing the street between the version of her market where white people go to the version of her market where black people go to. And it's a commentary on the way that Asian Americans and Asian immigrants were able to sort of blur the lines and serve both. They weren't treated nearly as poorly as black people, but they obviously were not considered to be on the same level as white people. So they kind of existed in this odd in-between space, and I just thought that was really masterfully shown. And then there's the scene in the juke joint, and I realize most of the scenes are in the juke joint, but you know which one I'm talking about. Oh my god. It didn't just feel like music, it felt like this really important reclamation of black culture and some Chinese culture actually thrown in there. And it was just so good. Also, did you see that Coogler struck a deal with Warner Brothers so he actually earns his ownership back after 25 years? That's so cool. This movie isn't just horror, it's a history lesson, it's a love letter to the blues, it's a theological argument, and honestly, it is a model runway because everybody is hot. 5 stars.
Do you have a mole or something on your butt?
No.
What the fuck? What the?
One might be in you.
I'm good.
It's probably a better way to check than what I did.
It's a bad idea, right?
They can't all be winners. So we made a few mistakes with this movie. The first one being that we got home from Sinners and took showers and kind of chilled out, and then we put on this movie. I don't know why. It was a very weird whiplash. Anyone But You came out in 2023 and was directed by Will Gluck, and it stars Sydney Sweeney, who's a good actress. I know she is. I don't know why this happened. And Glenn Powell, who did his best to save the sinking ship. He really gave it his all. He pulled no punches. But a really important part of the movie is the director's guiding hand, which I feel like was just kind of absent here. B, who's played by Sydney Sweeney, is a law student who meets up at one point with Ben, who's played by Glenn Powell, in Boston. He helps her sneak into a cafe bathroom. They click. They have some grilled cheese. They hook up, and then there's just the standard trope of miscommunication. The miscommunication happens, and as a result, they end up hating each other's guts for years. And then, of course, because it's such a small world, her sister ends up engaged to his best friend's sister. And so they are both forced to go to this beautiful Australian destination wedding. And what is this plot? Because they hate each other, they are making the entire thing about them and ruining everything. And then the families, instead of just slapping the sense into them and being like, hey, this day isn't about you, they try to get them together. And there's just a whole bunch of hijinks and more miscommunications. And I forgot to mention that a key part of the story is that they pretend to date each other, and you can imagine how that ends, but I also was just too bored with this segment to remember that part. I don't have a lot more to say. It was there, we watched it, it was a thing. Glenn Powell did his best, Sydney Sweeney really phoned it in, and I'm giving it a star.
You're gonna forget this day.
Man, we were really in the mood for bad movies, I guess. So Trap came out in 2024 and was directed by none other than M. Night Shyamalan. It stars Josh Hartnett as Cooper, who's a firefighter turned serial killer dad, and his daughter Riley, who's played by Ariel Donahue, at a Lady Raven concert. And hang on, whoa, who's
Lady Raven?
You may ask. And I'm so glad you did. She is played by none other than Salika Shyamalan, his daughter. Yep, Shyamalan has actually talked about how this movie was planned as an advertisement, essentially, as a concert film to try to kickstart his daughter's music career. And I'm not gonna lie, she's not bad. She's a good singer. Her music is good, and I think one of her concerts would be fun to go to. But this was not it. I'm also pretty sure, after watching this, that Shyamalan has definitely never been to a stadium concert before, because there's so many decisions made in this that don't make sense. So, quick setup, Cooper takes his daughter to this concert, and unbeknownst to him and everybody else there, the FBI has actually scouted out this concert because they got a tip that a serial killer is going to be there. And so they're trying to catch the butcher. Guess who's the butcher? It's good old Josh Hartnett. That's not a spoiler, it's in the trailer. So the rest of the film is him essentially just trying to dodge the FBI, and it is so incredibly convoluted. Because the thing is, the movie hinges on the fact that Josh Hartnett's character is this like hyper charismatic, super smart dude that can get out of anything, but it's undermined by the fact that everybody that he talks to is just incredibly naive and extremely forthcoming. So maybe it's just being a tall white man. I don't know what that life is like, but I'm pretty sure it wouldn't work this way. Also, the concert scenes are still just super baffling to me. During the entirety of the film, they drop us into the Lady Raven concert, right? And you'd think it's gonna be like, oh, this is 20 to 30 seconds, this is so great. Maybe kind of like they did in Smile too, right? No, we are sat down for the full 3 minutes of each of these songs, and they're good songs, don't get me wrong, but where's the plot? If you wanted to make a concert movie, make a concert movie. I'm sure that would have been great and probably would have done more for her career than this one. But also, there's scenes that happen during the breaks between songs. There are no breaks between songs. What are you going on about? There's also a point where the FBI is ordered to investigate every single person coming out of the stadium. And keep in mind, Lady Raven is sort of designed to be this sort of like Taylor Swift level icon. Do you know how impossible it would be to get everybody out of there? How long that would take, and how genuinely impossible it would be to inspect everybody coming out of a massive stadium concert? Honestly, after this movie, I'm not sure Shyamalan has had an actual human interaction in the past 10 years, because this dialogue is wild. Also, the perspective changes a bunch. It goes from him to his wife to Lady Raven. It's a whole mishmash. He gets points for being a sweet dad and trying to help his daughter, but this movie gets a half star. It is worse than Anyone But You. All right. Okay, hang on. I had to get my popcorn for this, because this is where we unintentionally started the most random marathon ever.
Gonna find a magic pool of water at the end of this.
I don't know. But I think you want to find out.
That trailer was really bad, right? Like, really bad, which is 100% why I wanted to watch it, all right? Like, saw the trailer and I was like, I need this in my life. This looks so cheesy. I bet it's terrible and it's gonna have such bad dialogue. I'm so down for this. Let's click on it. So we start the movie and the opening credits roll, and then the director's name pops up and I can hear my partner next to me going, oh, wait. And I didn't really know much about Guy Ritchie at this point, so I was still sat ready for the cheese, right? I was waiting for it to get really bad, and then I kept waiting, and then I kept waiting because I really liked this movie, y'all. I honestly feel like this is the Uncharted movie we deserved. And apparently, a lot of people disagree because it's got a really terrible score on Rotten Tomatoes. Letterboxd also didn't like it. Critics didn't like it. Whatever, it's fine. I liked it. Natalie Portman and John Krasinski play estranged siblings Charlotte and Luke Perdue, which already this movie got credit for just being about siblings and not having the classic love interest situation going on. I really liked that. It was fresh, it was fun. She's a museum curator and he's a treasure hunting adventurer. They reunite whenever a wealthy benefactor, played by Donald Gleason, contacts Luke in his search for the Fountain of Youth. It's just a giant globe-trotting adventure, which is super fun. They're in Bangkok, they lift up the Lusitania, they end up the Vienna libraries. They end up at the Giza pyramids, and I'm pretty sure they actually shot at the pyramids. Speaking of, the sets were real. The sets were real. The actors could touch them, could see them, could feel them. There weren't a bunch of blue screens, right? Like the sinking ship that they raised up, it was covered in water. It was dripping everywhere. And honestly, a movie with the worst dialogue will instantly raise up a couple stars if it just has real sets that have time and effort put into them. For me, at least. I mean, like with Alien from LA, they had real sets. I love that movie. John Krasinski plays a really, really good Nathan Drake. I mean, Luke Perdue, my bad. And all of the performances honestly just mesh together really nicely. There's this one point they have a kid that gets brought along and he's talking to Donald Gleason's character and the kid's asking him about how much money he has. And he's like, a lot. It's just a whole conversation back and forth. And at some point the little kid goes, "And are you satisfied?" And it was so funny. It was such a good line. And the CGI was really masterfully done. I thought it was just like little touches here and there that really brought it all together. I don't know. Again, a lot of people don't like this movie. I hope you watch it. It's okay if you don't like it. I hope you do. I liked it. 4 stars from me, actually. And thus began the Guy Ritchie Marathon, where we proceeded to watch 4 Guy Ritchie movies in one day.
For a special agent, you're not having a very special day, are you?
The next stop on our Guy Ritchie spiral was The Man from U.N.C.L.E., which came out in 2015. And honestly, I feel like we should have watched this during Pride Month because it is the queerest straight movie I have ever seen. It stars Henry Cavill, Armie Hammer, and Alicia Vikander. And also this, again, was in 2015, so this is before all of the Armie Hammer stuff came out. So I'm just gonna sit here and thirst over his character, not the actor. Moving on. The movie's based in the 1960s. Henry Cavill plays Napoleon Solo, who's a CIA agent with the smarm turned all the way up. And Armie Hammer is Ilya Kuryakin, a KGB agent with rage issues and a heart of gold. They get thrown together to stop a nuclear threat, along with Alicia Vikander, who's just so good in this role. And then shenanigans ensue, filled with vintage suits, spy gadgets, and a really good amount of queer chaos. I was seriously just sitting here waiting for the threesome to happen, and it never happened. Or at least just the 2 guys doing a thing. Like there's one point where Henry Cavill and Armie Hammer walk up to a giant vault, and there's 2 sets of locks, and Armie goes, "I'll take the top." And then Henry Cavill goes, "I'll take the bottom." Ah! Or this other scene where Armie and Alicia's character have already kind of been getting like a little tense, and she's wearing a little spy gadget around her leg and a garter, and she needs help turning it on because it wasn't turned on. So Henry is like, "Oh, you take care of that." And then she and Armie have like a really tense moment as he's trying to figure this out. And then Henry Cavill walks back in and he's like, "All turned on, are we?" There's more. I swear. There's more. I need you to watch it. It was fun. I love a good spy movie. This got 3.5 stars for me.
Anything to declare?
Yeah, don't go to England.
I do have to make a confession. I had somehow never seen Snatch before this, which I know, that's blasphemous. Especially since I went through like a whole Jason Statham obsession in my early adulthood. I don't know how I missed this. It's shameful, it's disrespectful, I know, it's probably criminal to be honest, but hey, I'm here. I got here eventually. Snatch is Guy Ritchie's masterpiece from 2000, where it feels like 17 plot lines crash together at full speed, but somehow works. We follow 2 small-time boxing promoters, Turkish, who's played by Jason Statham, and Tommy, who's played by Stephen Graham, who get roped into the London underground fight scene by a psychotic gangster named Bricktop. Meanwhile, a stolen diamond the size of a fist is being chased after by pretty much everybody, including a delightfully shady Benicio del Toro, who I am very much in love with. I don't care if he's barely in the movie, I gasped like a Victorian heroine every time that man is on screen. And of course, Brad Pitt as Mickey, who's a bare-knuckled Irish boxer who, his voice is like an audio puzzle box, to be honest. And we watch without subtitles because we watch most movies without subtitles unless it's a foreign film. And I kept up. I understood what he was saying for the most part, and I felt really proud. Now, did I actually track the plot the entire time? Absolutely not. I did have to have a couple pause moments where my partner filled me in on how everything was coming together. But I got there. It was good. I want to watch it again. This movie is so good. It's chaotic, it's slick as hell, it's fast-paced, and it all just comes together really nicely. The dialogue is just endlessly quotable. The cuts and transitions are pure Richie, as I came to learn, and it's so good. It's like getting punched in the face with a really charming brick. 5 stars. It's a perfect movie. I don't know how it could be improved.
Hello? Can't hear you. Please do off.
The fourth Guy Ritchie film that we managed to finish in the same day was The Ministry of Ungentlemanly Warfare, which came out in 2024 and was based on a true story, actually. It's late 1941, and Winston Churchill authorizes a top-secret Black Ops team, which I think this was the origin of the Black Ops, but don't quote me on that. I don't know shit about the military. It was called the Special Operations Executive to carry out Operation Polemaster, where they essentially tried to cut off Nazi supply and steal ships from the Spanish-controlled Fernando Po, I think. Henry Cavill, hey look, it's our favorite power bottom, plays Gus Philippe, who assembles a ragtag crew, including Danish hero Anders Lassen, explosives expert Freddy Alvarez, played by Henry Golden, and the rest, including expert spy Marjorie Stewart, who's played by Isa Gonzalez, who we've already seen, actually, because she was in Fountain of Youth. There's actually a couple of rotating faces in these. They trek across Africa and storm the ships and then hijack them back into Allied hands. It was fun. I mean, you've got hot men beating up Nazis and Isa Gonzalez wearing a Cleopatra costume. I don't know what more you could ask for. It wasn't my favorite, though. I don't know what there was about it that just didn't click for me, but it wasn't bad. It was fun. 2.5 stars, I think.
What the?
It stinks.
All right, step aside Guy Ritchie and enter Kaya Roach or Roche Turner and his creature features Sting, which came out in 2024. This was a movie that's been on our Plex for over a year now, and we kept scrolling by and saying, ooh, we need to watch that at some point, and then we would keep scrolling. And honestly, we probably could have just kept doing so. 12-year-old Charlotte, played by Alila Brown, lives in a beat-up Brooklyn apartment with her mom, stepdad Ethan, played by Ryan Core, who was our other main character, and her new little baby brother. A glowing meteor crashes into her great aunt's apartment, and there's this little alien spider, and Charlotte catches the spider, and that's the main point of the plot. She catches a little baby alien spider. It starts growing really, really fast, and it really likes to eat things, and you can see where this goes. I wasn't really expecting a whole lot. It is a movie about an alien spider, but I really like the movie Hatching, which is also about a little girl that catches and raises something that she shouldn't, and I don't know, it was not nearly as good as that. It was kind of going for like an Alien meets acrophobia sort of vibe in their film, and it was fun. It wasn't bad. The effects were good. I don't know, it didn't click for me. It was kind of boring. It was a little predictable. The dialogue felt really weird and stilted. It didn't feel like the characters were like real people. I don't know, 2 stars.
Maybe that's not actually coming for our family. Because that would be crazy.
Yeah, of course we did it. We went and saw Final Destination Bloodlines in theaters, and it was a very weird experience. It pulled a decent sized crowd. We actually had to go to a different showing because we weren't going to be able to get all of the tickets that we needed. And there was this one person down in the front who kept bringing out his phone. The brightness turned all the way up, which also, what's wrong with you if you have your brightness all the way up in a dark room? Are you okay? Was he checking a text, like a little emergency thing? No, he was scrolling through Instagram stories. Oh my God, I almost threw something at him. But every time I was about to, my social anxiety would crush it back down. I did actually yell at him as I was leaving, though. He was still sitting in his seat, and I was walking out, and I just went, "Nice phone, bro." And he death glared me like I did something wrong. Anyway, oh, also people kept just kind of talking through the film, not outrageously, but they kept jabbering, and it was about the movie, but it was weird. Something felt really off. I was wondering if there was going to be an explosion through the screen. Anyway, this movie had a little bit of a different setup. Like, in essence, it's the same, but it's not. Our main protagonist is Stacy, who's played by Caitlin Santawana, who's a college student who who's tormented by violent nightmare, where in 1968, the Skyview Tower disaster happened. Totally not the Space Needle. No, no, no. What are you thinking about? But she does discover that her grandmother Iris was a part of that disaster and that her grandmother had a premonition of everybody dying, and then she saved a whole bunch of people, which is the standard Final Destination setup. But then, because death couldn't get to her grandmother, it went down the familial line, the Bloodlines. And that was actually kind of fun. I actually really liked this one. I thought it was solid. I thought that they finally really nailed their tone. So shout outs to the directors Zach Lipovsky and Adam Stein. They really nailed it. It was finally the right balance between humor and seriousness. The kills were wild, dude. I'm really good at gore. I don't get squeamish. And the dump truck scene, even that kind of gave me the willies. And Tony Todd, man, rest in peace, dude. He improvised his last words in this movie, and it just felt like a heartfelt goodbye. Ugh. It's not like it's a perfect movie. It didn't blow me away necessarily, but it did blow me away as a Final Destination film. It got a solid 3 stars. I think it's right up there with my favorite, to be honest. I have to do the ranking video now. I have no choice.
You figured, oh, he's a loser, you know, a deadbeat.
Well, aren't you?
Well, yeah.
You cannot drag this negative energy into the tournament.
Jeffrey,
Bond,
love me.
that's my robe.
I'm throwing rocks tonight.
It don't matter to Jesus. This could be a lot more.
Forgive me, Father, for I have sinned. It's been, probably about 10 minutes since my last movie confession. I hadn't seen The Big Lebowski before this. Oh, that's really good, actually. I'm sorry, I screwed up. I don't know how I hadn't seen it yet, but I'm here now. So let's talk about the plot to this cult classic. Jeff Bridges plays Jeffrey Lebowski, better known as The Dude, who's an easygoing stoner and bowler, and he's mistargeted by 2 thugs who pee on his rug because they think that he's a really rich guy. This one instant kicks off a chain of just ridiculous misadventures. Kidnappings, ransom drops, nihilists, porno moguls, a kidnapped bunny, and the angriest Vietnam vet you'll ever meet in the form of John Goodman, who plays Walter. Also a little sprinkle of Steve Buscemi and a really good sprinkle of Julianne Moore. So did I like this movie? I did, but oh my god, I'm so scared I have a but. But I think if I had watched this movie whenever I was younger and had like a nostalgic kick to it, it would have been better. But I know Walter's character is supposed to be aggravating, but oh my god, I was just livid anytime he was on screen. It was just a little too much for me. But whenever he wasn't on screen, I absolutely adored the movie. And he was instrumental in a lot of the mishaps happening, so that was really important. But he was annoying. Oh, it came out in 1988 and is by the Coen brothers. I feel like I don't have to tell anybody this, but I am. That's my job right now. I totally get why it's beloved. It's really, really good. The dream sequences are super wild. Every line of dialogue feels super, super quotable. And I finally understood so many references. The way the Coen brothers were flipping noir tropes on these paper-thin mini plots that just rolled into each other. It was great. It was fun. It was chaotic. I realize I'm probably supposed to give this movie 5 stars, but it's my review. And Walter really made me want to throw a bowling pin at his head, so 4 stars. But that's just like my opinion, man.
When the lion's hungry, he eats.
That's right, we weren't quite done with the Guy Ritchie marathon. Actually, we had started this movie the same night that we watched the other 4, but I fell asleep halfway through, and then we for some reason didn't pick it up until the very end of the month. But here we are with The Gentleman from 2019, directed by Guy Ritchie. I really wanted to prop for this one too, but I felt like YouTube might get mad at me, so alas. The Gentleman. So Matthew McConaughey plays Mickey Pearson. Guy Ritchie must really like the name Mickey, who's an American expat that built up a cannabis empire, and now he wants to sell it and be done with it. Cue blackmail, double crosses, back alley deals, and a whole lot of swagger from a very star-studded cast, because what else would you expect? You got Charlie Hunnam in there, Colin Farrell, Hugh Grant, Henry Golding, and the list goes on. This one took me a little bit to get into, I'm not gonna lie. I love a good monologue, but there was a point where Hugh Grant's character just kept talking, just kept going. And I love Hugh Grant's voice, especially the one that he put on for this one, but I don't know, I just wanted the movie to actually happen instead of this theatrical exposition. I don't know what my arms are doing. This has been a long video, dude. But once we got past the Hugh Grant whodunit monologue, then the movie really started to pick up, and I liked it. I got really hooked into it. It's very classic Richie. It's got those fast cuts and transitions, the quick dark humor, the vintage suits. It kind of just feels like Snatch, but put into the weed business. With characters that you can understand a little better. It's smart, it's slick, it's well acted. I gave it 4 stars. I had a great time. We did it. We made it through the May video. This is the second time I've recorded it, and I really hope that it all worked out. Thank you so much for hanging out. I appreciate you. Bye.